Okay, so good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this third session of our e-commerce platform comparison. I'm Cassidy Delerto Blackwell from the Land Connection, and I will still be your host for the remaining two sessions of this series. If you missed us, our last session, you can catch that on our YouTube channel, where you'll also be able to find today's video. We're continuing our exploration of 3 e-commerce softwares: Food for All, Open Food Network, and Local Food Marketplace. So far, we've looked at how these work for Food Hub and wholesale sales. And today we're going to talk about how these platforms work for CSA and subscription sales. As always, we are joined by representatives from each of these platforms. And they're joined by the folks that actually use the software for their farm or food business. This week we'll start with, we'll be kicking off with Mark Waltermire from Thistle Farm out in Colorado. He's trying to make a tongue twister out of that one. Joined by Lori Wayne from Open Food Network. And then we will follow that up with Colleen Mayer from New Routes for Refugees in Kansas City, who's joined by Amy McCann from Local Food Marketplace. And we're going to wrap up with Alison Holland of Rainshadow Organics out in Sisters, Oregon, who is joined by Cami Semick from Food for All. So thank you all for joining us today. Before we get started, I do want to do the standard Zoom housekeeping. Keep your microphone muted unless you're speaking. If you have questions while our presenters are presenting, please use the chat box to ask questions. If you don't know where the chat box is, you can find it at the bottom of your screen. You should pull up a little chat bubble. Let's see, it looks like that. So feel welcome to drop questions in there as you have them, and we'll have lots of time between presentations and at the very end. So it'd be great to know who's here. So let's see if we've got some more folks here. I'll launch this poll. Maybe we only get one response, but please let us know about you. Oh, that's the wrong poll. Oops. Okay, let me launch a different poll. All right, getting to know you, poll. Just to learn a little bit about who is in the room. And if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat box, we would welcome that as well. I'm joined today by Jacqueline Evers, who will be managing our technology and the chat. Both Jacqueline and myself work for the Land Connection, a nonprofit agricultural support organization based in Champaign, Illinois. We offer training, resources, and support to farmers, food businesses, and eaters in the hopes that together we will realize a more just, equitable, and sustainable food system that we know is possible. You can visit us online there at our website. It's www.thelandconnection.org. And while you are there, you can sign up for our newsletter by clicking that button right at the top to find out all about what we have coming up on the horizon. I would also like to thank Illinois Farm Bureau for making this series possible. This is being offered as part of their monthly business development program. If you haven't checked out the offerings they have available, please do visit them online to see all the great stuff. Including that HR bundle and grant writing workshops look really, really good. And then I would also like to thank the Land Connections Soil Builder sponsors, Compeer Financial and Illinois Farm Credit for supporting our work. So thank you all. All right, let me stop sharing. Okay, so now we can move on to the main event. We'll give each platform producer pair around 20-25 minutes to share their experience with the software, highlight any unique, helpful features, and explain how it has worked for them in their business. We'll follow each group with about 5 minutes of questions for their specific platform. And after we've heard from everyone, we'll spend the rest of our time together, which will probably be around a half an hour, just answering questions from the group. So this week we're kicking off with Lori and Mark from representing Open Food Network. So I am happy to hand it over to you guys to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Cassidy. And it's so nice to see everybody. It's really happy to be here talking about the Open Food Network again. And I'm just elated to be here with Mark Waltermire, who's, I only know a little bit about Mark, and I'm excited to learn more of his story and share the OFN platform with you. So I just kind of wanted to say greetings to you. I'm currently at the at where the Columbia and Willamette rivers come together, and these are traditional, ancestral, and current homes of the Clackamas and Chinook people. Lots and lots of indigenous folks made their homes in the area where I am now. It's a very rich farmland. And I'm going to attempt to show a presentation. What? Okay, so how's it looking, guys? Does it look like a presentation? Yeah, we got thumbs up, we got nodding heads. That's cool. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to do a quick overview of the Open Food Network for folks who have not seen it yet. Maybe you haven't been to some of our previous presentations. It won't take long. And I want to make sure that you just have a little bit of a context, and we have most of our time to talk to Mark. I'm really excited about that. So Open Food Network, our address is openfoodnetwork.net, not .org, although there is a .org, and that's kind of the mothership. We're a global community of nonprofit organizations in about 20 different countries who are taking care of an open source platform for local food systems to survive. So openfoodnetwork.net is our front door. When we find a store, this is a shop front, and I want to show it to you because we're going to be talking about it in a minute. This home tab on your shop front is a place where you can communicate to current and potential customers. And you can also see this little thing called the order cycle that I'll talk about in a minute. So a lot of folks who have CSAs, specials, that kind of thing, put information about that here on their homepage. You'll notice that from here, you can also enter a lot of information about you. There's contact info. You can see what other producers you work with. And then of course, your customers can go to your shop. They can also, you can always link directly to your shop. And this is actually my farm shop, Locavore Farms in Fort Bidwell. And it's, yeah, just kind of wanted to show you what the shop front looks like. Couple things I would notice up at the top there, you can see the word English with a little globe. In the US, we're available in English and Spanish on the platform. And it's not a like Google Translate thing. It's an actual like sort of real version of the language. And what that means is if you have customers who are Spanish speakers, you probably should change your product names and descriptions to be in Spanish as well. But they'll see, for example, instead of stores there, they'll see tiendas. Clicking on just like 3 little things about the shop front. We have this idea of a product, which I'll be talking about. Variants are sort of sub-products, so it could be like a flavor or a package size. And then an order cycle, which is the way that customers choose when they'd like to collect the products that they buy from you online. Gonna click away to the admin to get to what we call the back end. You just go to that front page and click on administration, and what you see is this is where all the magic happens. Whether you're a hub, a shop, just a farmer profile, you'll have an admin dashboard that looks a little bit like this. It'll look different based on sort of what your business is like, but it's more or less looking like this. You can change your settings on your enterprise. That's what we call anybody who's selling or offering anything on the Open Food Network. And as you can see, there's just a ton of adjustability. That's actually one of the strengths and one of the weaknesses of the Open Food Network is it's very, very powerful and extensible. So there's a lot of choices you have to make when you get set up. And we have a really good user guide that guides you through it, but it's definitely, you sort of have to know where you're going to go before you wander into the forest. This is a shortcut way to edit all your products and variants. The bulk edit product screen is really, it's pretty quick to manage your stock levels and your inventory. And this is how you manage your order cycle. With every order cycle, you'll notice that there in that last column, there's 9 variants in one order cycle, and there's another one that's closed that has 14. You can choose what products get added to every order cycle. And there's a lot of reasons you might want to do that. In this case, I'm editing an order cycle, and you'll notice that I have a flower CSA, and you know what? It's November, I have no flowers. So I just totally take the flower CSA out. And you'll notice too, that I have a couple of variants in my flower CSA product. I have sort of a shorter early spring bouquet and then a full season bouquet too. So that's one of the ways that you can offer what we call subscriptions. So there's a couple of different ways to do a CSA. One is that it's kind of the traditional CSA model, which is you just pay at the beginning of the season. And you can either control the contents, you get what you get, or what some producers and shops like to do is they just have a list of things and they say, oh, pick 6 of these things and that's going to be your box. So OFN makes it pretty easy to manage those things. The thing that it doesn't do is actually count down. So when you pay ahead at the beginning of the season, you need to track your customers. We don't do that stuff like Harvey does with skipped weeks and swapping things out. That's something that you usually producers choose to not do, or they do offline. Of course, CSA customer is very free to order other things from the shop and add to their subscription. A subscription in the Open Food Network is, we think of it as a standing order. So it's the customer enters their credit card info and they get automatically billed each week. And which is really great for you as a producer, of course, because you get this steady stream of income and you don't have to worry about keeping track of how much they've paid. So a lot of folks like to use subscriptions rather than that big payment at the beginning. These are just a couple of different ways. This is more adjustability in OFN. You can create a subscription product, or if you have bread that you want to offer, people can buy a one-off, or they can actually choose a bread subscription too. So you can actually make that subscription be a variant. So really up to you. And I'm excited to see how Mark handles variants too. So this is like the 5-step overview. Nobody needs to take notes on this, but essentially I just wanted to let you know that these are the steps for setting up your subscription, including setting your schedule. So if you just want people to pick up, for example, your flower CSA once a month, you can set a schedule for a once a month subscription, and your customers will get an email, you'll get an email. The regular orders are integrated into regular pack and pick lists. just like you'd expect with any, awesome online platform like you're learning about today, all three of us. This is sort of how we get help. There's a lot of email. We have a really awesome user guide that's constantly being updated. Our software is updated about once a week, and we try our best to keep the user guide updated too. We also have twice a week just live drop-in calls, video calls, where anybody can just like stop by and say hello, troubleshoot, share information, or anything else. And that's as much as I want to do, actually. I hope it wasn't too fast. If it was, please save your questions. And Mark and I are really excited to answer whatever questions folks have. And I'm just going to stop sharing now and hand it off to Mark. All yours, brother.
Great, thank you. So I run a 15-acre farm in rural Colorado. We're all the way on the western edge of the state, about 4.5 hours from the nearest large market. So we're in an area with a small population and limited markets. So I've been trying different online marketing platforms to figure out how I can market my produce efficiently. For 4 or 5 years, I settled on Open Food Network because it's open source, it's more flexible, and I can do a lot more with it to manage the kind of complicated marketing I do. I think being a farm in a remote place, I feel obligated to market locally, even though there's not much of a population and there are a lot of farms around. It feels like I would be negligent to not offer to the locals first. And Open Food Network allows me a way of getting a good idea of what I have available to the local population. If they're interested, I can get their email address, enter it into the Open Food Network platform, and make sure they know what I have available every week. I do have a CSA. I actually have 2 CSAs, a local one and one in Gunnison, which is about 75 miles away, but a long 75 miles. And I market there because it's a mountain town at it's about 8,000 feet. They're not able to grow eggplant or tomatoes or peppers or any other warm season crops because their season is too short and it's too cold. They get regular August frosts, freezes most years even. So having being able to market in places like that gives me the opportunity to find a population that can buy enough of the food that I'm growing to keep me going. So I have a CSA there affiliated with Western, with a university in Gunnison, and I recruit through, I work with the students at Western State in a program called the Organics Guild to recruit customers through professors and staff at the school. So I work with kids who are trying to grow food in Gunnison, and then I offer all the warm season stuff, and they supplement what I can offer with what they can grow in Gunnison. And then I bring students over for field trips and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Anyway, the CSA model around here is broken. A lot of marketers are selling what they call CSAs, but they're box programs where they buy from a variety of different farms, local and not so local, compile it and offer tomatoes a month before I'm able to get tomatoes from my farm. So it's really difficult for me to compete with people who have CSAs that aren't CSAs. So Open Food Network allows me to market a CSA, but have a pick to order CSA. So people can choose what they want from what I have available. Pay me up front so I can cover early season costs and give them the mix of produce that they want. So I don't have to compile a box every week that is difficult for me to do when I'm competing with box programs that are pulling from other agricultural areas. I can just offer what I have. And it works a lot more smoothly. Customers are happier, and I'm happier knowing that I'm able to give them what they want. And I am able to get that early season money, which is essential for me to pay for labor mostly. Some early season expenses are also there, but labor is really the big one for me. I think the way I've managed the platform is I just, when I keep track of how much people have contributed on a separate spreadsheet, and then I just compare it to the amount that they've ordered. So on the Open Food Network, as people order, it cumulatively keeps track of the cumulative amount of their orders, and then I can just compare the two and tell people what their balance is. It's a little bit of work to have to do the subtraction, but it's not really all that tough. The platform gives me the ability to offer I have an alarming diversity of crops that I grow. I have 180 or so varieties of heirloom tomatoes and over 100 varieties of hot peppers, and it goes on from there. Mostly because I'm curious about a whole bunch of different things and insist on having more on my plate than I can possibly eat. But also, I've worked with a lot of different ethnic groups in the various farms that I've worked on and run over the years, and they have some foods that are wonderful, and I feel like I want to grow them for myself and my family, and I want to offer things to people that are different and nutritious and wonderful, and expand their ideas of what food is and how it can be meaningful in their lives. So Open Food Network allows me to put in bitter melon and a thousand other things if I choose to spend the time entering all those things in, and that's perfect for me. I need that flexibility. I can be as specific or as general as I need to be, and I can make sure that my customers are able to access the information they need on what I'm growing and what I have available. Let's see. I think that covers most of how I use the platform. I think what I have noticed is I have 2 teenage kids, both of whom are more savvy with technology than I am and more patient with it. We've had no problem figuring out how to do everything that we need to do on the platform for the most part. It works great for us. And I think what I've most appreciated about it is, I think over the years, I've been on this farm for 16 years. I ran a nonprofit for 10 years before that, another nonprofit for 6 years before that, both agriculture related, and I've done various other things. And I think I went into market farming because I was disillusioned with the nonprofit end of farming and decided to try the for-profit with nonprofit interests, really. But I found that I remember thinking how trite it seemed that people would say it's a lifestyle choice, it's not a career. And I thought, oh, well, I can make a living. It's a lifestyle, yeah, but so is every other job. But it turns out that's more true than I believed it to be. This is what I want to do, but it's really a tough way to make a living, especially in a rural area like this. It's a substantial challenge. And I think that it's Open Food Network approaches what they do from a different angle than the for-profit software companies that have been trying to market their product to me over the years. I think Open Food Network understands what it is to be doing what I'm doing differently than a Seattle-based software company understands it. And it means something to me to not be buying into a system that doesn't work for me. So Open Food Network has given me the opportunity to feel better about using a technology that works for me in the weird kind of convoluted economics that I'm engaged in. And that is something that I really need to be. I need to feel that when I'm working with something like this software. Well, I think that explains it as well as I can. I think that covers most of what I needed to say or wanted to say about the Open Food Network platform. I'm happy to field questions.
Yeah, we're both really happy to answer any questions that you have, actually anybody. And if you want, we're a small enough group that I think you can just unmute yourself and talk if you're not too shy. If you are too shy, you can just enter your question in the chat, I think. And Mark, I have a couple of questions for you too.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so just like while you're working up the nerve to ask a question, there's got to be something on your mind if you're watching us. Mark, do you ever do you sell things from other farms ever? Like, that's mind blowing that you have 180 varieties of tomatoes, but I'm wondering about connecting with those farms that are all around your community.
I sell some cottage food products made from stuff that I grow. So I've got a kimchi and fermented food producer who I sell products from. And once in a while, I barter quite a lot for, I don't live on a piece of property that grows fruit well because of, we're in a pretty marginal place for temperatures. I don't get the morning breezes that blow out the inversions. So I can't grow fruit well. So I trade with a fruit grower friend who lives a few miles away. So when he has extra apples or peaches or pears or some fruit, I'll sell his stuff on my Open Food Network site and offer them to my CSA customers. And he does other favors for me, helping me with marketing in the Denver area. So he drives his truck over there and he'll take stuff to restaurants that want the specific things that I grow and no one on that side of Colorado seems to grow. So we trade that way. Let's see, anybody else on there? I think that's probably it for marketing other farm stuff. Open Food Network has also worked really well for some of the more community. I market food through nonprofits in the Valley also. So programs that work with kids at risk, have families that are struggling, and I'm able to use the Open Food Network platform to connect them up with my food as well. So when a nonprofit gets donations to get food to families that need it, I can use the platform to direct those people to my site, and we can figure out the finances of it through the nonprofit. So I've been able to use it that way too. And the families that are in, it seems like computers and internet access is at the point now where even those families can access the information just fine. Once in a while, it takes a social worker to work with them to get them to a library or a place where they can access it. But we've been able to get the food, the specific foods that those families can use directly to them. And that trying to donate boxes doesn't work, because I know in previous attempts that winter radishes are or 100 other foods that I think are wonderful are not things that families who don't know those foods are interested in getting. They don't know what to do with them. They don't have a taste for them. And I don't want my food wasted. So having a pick to order system where people can select exactly what they want, their families like, they know, that works a lot better. And it seems to have worked into our system really nicely.
Nice, thanks. I have one more question, and nobody else has a question, right? Cassidy, there's nobody with their hand up.
No, yeah.
Okay,
No,
all right,
no
cool.
new questions.
I'm wondering, Mark, I think that work trade idea is so smart, and that's what farmers do. And it's really nice to hear that you're connecting with folks and that OFN is helpful with you with that. I'm wondering if you do a work trade or any other kind of flexible payment situation with your customers, especially your local customers.
Yeah, it's a good question. I live in a low income county. Our median income is 2/3 maybe of the state median income. There's a lot of poverty here. I think half of the school age population qualifies for subsidized meals, which is one of the indicators they use. We are able to work with those folks both. I mean, COVID has been in some ways a real blessing for local agriculture here. It's opened a lot of doors to getting local foods into the local homes. Something that I mean, it's jumped it years ahead of where I expected it to be. We've been pushing it for, I guess it was 15 years we pushed it, and it made a few inroads, but COVID really has made a huge difference. I think my local sales have probably quadrupled with a lot of other farms around, both from locals who have the money to afford it, but also donated foods or donations that pay for food to get to families that can't afford it. It's been really surprising to me to see how that's happened. And it makes me feel like I'm more a part of the local community than I've ever felt like before. And it's been great for that. I'm sorry, I lost track of what your question was there.
Oh, I was just asking about whether you offer, work trade or donations or reduced prices. Sounds like you do.
So I have subsidized CSA shares. I have free CSA shares. I have people who pay week to week. I have people who pay when they can and tell me that they're having a hard week and can't afford it, so I can figure that out. I just keep track of where the pool of money is that allows me to donate the food. I do have work trades as well for people who have the time to do it. And I just let them order off of the OFN, the same platform. They just order and I just don't charge them because I can keep track of all that with the numbers. So it means a little bit of accounting, but not an inordinate amount, and it's pretty easy to manage it all.
Cool. Do you know if anybody in your community is using the Spanish language part? I'm sorry, I don't know the makeup of your community.
We have a substantial Spanish-speaking population here. I have a number of the families that are part of the nonprofit that gets the food are Spanish-speaking, but they haven't asked for Spanish translations. They know the English well enough, and they're mostly agricultural folks, so it's not foreign to them. So if we remember to put the pictures up too, it seems to work okay with English. I don't know if anyone is using the Spanish translation. I haven't asked. We haven't yet, but it is available, so we could if we needed to.
Yeah, it would. I don't know how many people are using it either, although we have a request to translate into Burmese in a refugee population, which is going to be amazing. And I see a hand up there from N. Garrett.
Yep.
Hi, thanks, Lori and Mark. I just had a quick question for Mark, as we're talking about, kind of expanding our diversity and equity, in terms of food logistics. Was it challenging, Mark, to communicate and bring in those ethnic growers at first to kind of be a partner, with you? Or did I kind of misunderstand? I know you said that you expanded your produce, to kind of provide more ethnic foods. How did you go about doing that? Did you grow them yourself, or did you actually bring in like other farmers, and how did you really successfully go about doing that?
All right, so my background previous to growing here was growing for a educational food bank farm, serving programs with a wide diversity of ethnic groups. That was back east in the Boston area. Previous to that, I ran a nonprofit in Missoula, Montana, and less diversity there, but still a fairly large Hmong population and some other groups. So I learned working with the various recipients of the produce that I grew, what they were looking for, how to grow it, how to cook it, how to harvest it, all the various things, working with those groups. Here, it's I still grow a lot of those crops because I learned to love them. The ethnic diversity in rural Colorado is not as substantial as it was in the other places I've lived. A Spanish-speaking population, so I do grow popolo and other crops that the Mexican families want. I grow, we have a Burmese population here as well. The Karen folks have resettled in the Delta area. I grow various things for them. I bring those families to the farm. They to have food and nutrition programs, so they learn a little bit about the foods that grow better here than the ones they're used to, and they teach me again how to grow, cook, and how to grow, harvest, cook, and eat the various things that they're interested in. We do have a few families from Bangladesh and Iran and Madagascar and a few other places. One of each, really. Not so many here in Delta County, but we do have them, and I grow food for them as they request it. We don't have, I mean, the farms here are not, they're not run by people from other places. They're mostly Anglos, with a lot of Mexican and Central American labor.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to kind of make sure we're on the right track as we look to establish a local food economy here in Will County, Illinois. So thank you, very helpful. We currently are trying to surveillance our populations because our piece is going to target the socially vulnerable. So, starting there in those communities and making sure that we, bring community empowerment along as we, develop this project and hopefully implement it. So thank you. That was very helpful.
And just wanted to say Heartland Communities in Fort Wayne, Indiana is doing a lot of work like this too. So you might check them out. They're also OFN users.
Heartland
Communities, yeah. It looks like Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah, you had mentioned kind of in your little talk, you were talking about a bread CSA. Do you little details about that? It's a fascinating idea.
I actually hold that question. I think we've hit about the edge of the Open Food Network time, and I'd like to give some chance. But can you hold on to that, Mike, and we'll circle to it at the end.
Go ahead.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark and Lori.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Also, really exciting that you're growing bitter melon, like the most aptly named vegetable. You almost never see it anywhere. All right, so we're gonna continue on our next pair is Colleen from New Roots for Refugees, and Amy from Local Food Marketplace. So if you two would like to take it away.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thanks so much. We're excited to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's just going to take me a moment to get all the right buttons clicked here. Okay. I think this was the right one. Awesome. Actually, get to the right slide. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Oh, cool. And I Did you change? You must have changed something because now I can see that there's people here. Last time I was all by myself. Cool. Well, thanks so much for having us, Cassidy, and for everybody else who's joined us this afternoon. My name is Amy McCann. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Local Food Marketplace, and really excited to be here along with Colleen from New Roots for Refugees. And excited to hear more from Colleen. I'm going to just kind of kick us off with a little bit of an intro. You're seeing my contact information here. Encourage anybody that has any questions after our session or during our session today. If you're not able to get them answered or they're maybe super specific to your situation, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to schedule a time with you or do a more comprehensive demo of the platform. Our session here today is going to be super abbreviated just because we only have about 20 or 25 minutes or so to kind of cover the material. So I'm going to first do a little bit of an introduction about us, about our platform, and then I'll do a brief behind the scenes look at our platform from the subscription/CSA perspective. It's not going to be comprehensive of all the other sales channels we support, but we're going to focus in on the CSA side, and then I'm going to turn it over to Colleen to talk about New Roots. And of course, we'll answer some questions. So we've been around since 2009. So we're almost teenagers, which is kind of funny to think about, but we started the company to relocalize our food system. And of course, in order to do that, small farms are the cornerstone of our local food systems, and they need to be profitable. If we're gonna have local food systems, small farms need to be able to be profitable. And so that's what we bring to the table as technology platforms specifically around that. And over that 12 years, we've grown a lot. Lots of folks consider us the leading food hub and local food platform. We support hubs, farms, and markets across the US and Canada, and specifically serve about 350 hubs and markets and over 12,000 farms and producers that utilize our platform for their sales. Everyone from food hubs to cooperatives, and lots of farmers markets and a variety of online markets, as well as individual farms and producers, and all their sales channels go through the platform, from wholesale to retail to CSA, which is what we'll be talking about today, and then also in-person sales. So all of those things get folded in to the system, so you can use just one system for all of those different ways you might sell your product. So that's really been what we focused on all along, starting out with sort of retail wholesale sales, and then we've just continually added other sales channels over the years. And we've really focused on that because, and a more diverse sales opportunities reduces risk and increases opportunities for our customers. And we also focus on creating a customized experience for all these different types of customers. So your CSA customers can see just your CSA products. You can create a retail experience, a wholesale, and even within any one of those different sales channels, you can also customize what customers are seeing, what products, pricing, payment options, payment terms, etc. And I think one of the key things that we bring to the table is the product is really scalable. Folks don't have to find a new solution when they grow. They can utilize the platform from being startups all the way to being mature businesses. And that eliminates a lot of extra cost and focus on implementing new platforms as a business grows through the various stages. We also, of course, having been around for as long as we have, and the number of folks that use the platform, it's really comprehensive. And of course, it's a proven platform in all these different ways. We focus on it being white label. We are not trying to be a household name with your customers. We think that that labeling, that branding needs to be your brand, and you need to be the focus of that. Along those lines, something Mark was saying earlier today is something I really agree with, and that is the importance of owning your own data and your web presence. It's been a big issue that we can see happening, sort of, you hear all this sort of stuff happening in Washington, D.C., but it's also super relevant to what's happening with farms and our local food systems, and making sure that that information that you've generated and the data that you've generated is yours and not somebody else's getting mined for other purposes. And also, we're really not about sales and transaction fees to use our platform, really about providing the service, and then for just set prices. So that's our approach. We do support quite a few different CSA models, and every year it seems like new ones pop up that we support. But overall, lots of folks use the platform for seasonal subscriptions. Those are pretty typical. Pay up front, or maybe some payment plans, or pay by distribution are pretty common. We also support open-ended subscriptions. So if you have customers that are subscribed and they just continually stay subscribed, ongoing basis, we support those, as well as like a market share or buyer's choice, similar to what Mark was describing with his particular CSA, where they maybe buy in with an upfront payment, and then they choose the items that they want to purchase, and our system is able to track account balances and what they received and when, and things like that. Okay. With that, I'm going to take us really quickly to a behind the scenes look, and then we'll turn it over to Colleen. This is a different customer site that we support. I just wanted to go to one as an example site, just to give folks a sense on the branding and how dominant our customers' brands, and how we are virtually absent from this page. It really reflects the rest of their web presence, their colors, their fonts. If you were to go to their main website, the non-shopping page part of their website, you notice that this whole thing matches and looks just like they're a part of their website. I'll take us now to a sample site and just kind of go over some of the options here. This is sort of the equivalence or front of what we are just looking at for my demo site. Because we're talking specifically about subscriptions, we do have a subscriptions page for your customers to explore the subscriptions that you offer. And those subscriptions, of course, can be customized to different locations and prices, and various options. And you can see here I've got some weekly farm boxes and an egg subscription set up here. But we have customers that do everything from breakfast boxes to bread subscriptions to coffee subscriptions, to, of course, the more traditional vegetable and fruit and things like that. So each of the subscriptions customers can sort of uniquely manage and sign up for, which makes it pretty clean and straightforward for you to manage. And they essentially, in the sign up process, choose how they want to receive that order. It tells them when that order can come to them. If there's options, they can choose. And then, of course, you've got your payment plan options, payment types, all the way down the line, including how they want to pay. They can give you notes, and you can even include a cancellation policy. That's all customizable. So the sign up process is really straightforward. As soon as they're signed up, it tells them what they are signed up for, and they can always come in and create a hold, or if it is or a subscription that you allow cancellation, they can request a cancellation right here as well. And the holds are really simple. So it makes it really nice and straightforward for them to tell you if they're going to be gone. So it's if they've ever subscribed to a newspaper or something like that, it's just like setting up holds, vacation holds for that. Yeah, so that's super simple, straightforward customer side. And then on the admin side, drilling down here into subscriptions right now, where we're seeing very easily, like all of the subscriptions that you have, how many people you have signed up for each of the different types. You see all their names, their locations, the last time they received an order, how many times they've received that subscription, account balances. And of course, if there are any holds coming up for that account, you have visibility on all of that in here. So lots of tools for managing payments and customer information. And then each account that in your customers area, I'm over here now in customers, I am able to see in my list of customers which ones have a subscription. That is like this little circular image over here, and clicking on that will take me to the subscriptions that they are signed up for. And some of that same information, but on that customer specific account and what their payment plan is and when the last time they received that order. So just a few details in here in terms of how it's used both on the management side as well as on the customer side. Our overarching goal in all of it is to make it super simple for your customers to sign up and do a lot of self-management, or as much as you want them to. And then on your side of things, know how many shares of each type you have to get out to customers each week. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Colleen. And Colleen, I'll get back to that slide deck. So I can, there we go. And I'll drive for you. So you can just tell me when you're ready to go to the next slide.
Great. Yeah, my name is Colleen Mayer. I am originally from a family farm in southern Oklahoma. And I moved to Kansas City last year to become the outreach coordinator at AmeriCorps Vista for New Roots for Refugees. New Roots is a program that was started in 2008. I'm sure everyone on this call understands that connection you feel to the land when you've been a farmer. Once you've been a farmer, you can't stop. And so we serve refugees who, for one reason or another, were forced to flee on threat of violence and persecution and death from their home countries, live in refugee camps for sometimes decades, and eventually made their way to Kansas City. And this is a way for them to reconnect with that part of themselves that they had to leave behind, because most of our farmers come to us with agricultural experience. Yeah, there's a great slide. So we average around 4 families per year. We've been scaling that back a little bit lately, just in order to give more support to our graduates, because now we have more than 30 farmers who have graduated the program and have gone on to either purchase or rent either a house with land or a little plot of land themselves. And so we're providing them more support. So we currently have 13 farmers in the program. Yeah, we have primarily Burmese farmers currently, although we've had many different nationalities in the past. Most of our farmers are Chin and Karen and little Kareni. We also have one farmer from Burundi, and then we're seeing more Congolese farmers come as that demographic is being resettled in heavier numbers to Kansas City. To enter our program, farmers have to have been in the country for at least 1 year. but most of them have been in the country for about 5 years, just because farming, as you know, especially in the first year, it's not a big money maker. So we like for people to be pretty well established before they join the program. Yeah, so we offer classes, English classes, tax help, and all those things. And then what we're talking about today is we have all our farmers try out a farmer's market and see if that's an avenue that they prefer. And a lot of them do stick with the farmer's market. We also do wholesale, and then we have an aggregated CSA. So we just finished our 3rd year of the aggregated CSA. Before that, we were doing individual farmer CSAs, but we found that the aggregated CSA just allowed for more customer retention and allowed us to have greater variety to offer the customers. Our farmers each get a plot of about a 1/4 acre. Our farm is located in Wyandotte County, Kansas, actually in a housing authority complex. It was the site of a former housing authority development that they demolished, and now we farm there. It's 9 acres. And so it's sort of a small area, but between all of our 13 farmers and a handful of graduates, we're able to offer quite a lot of variety to our customers. So this was our first year using Local Food Marketplace. I kind of helped lead the team in terms of utilizing Local Food Marketplace, but like we're still kind of discovering all of the capabilities that it has. And that's one of the reasons why we chose Local Food Marketplace. So a little bit about our CSA. We have a weekly CSA. It's a traditional CSA, although we do offer some choices at the pickup site, just whatever's available, the customers can choose between if they get there early enough. We also have online sales that we do through the Local Food Marketplace. So customers can add things to their CSA. We've even, and this towards the end of the season, we had some customers discover they can kind of do the build your own box CSA by just ordering a la carte, which I think is really a great workaround if that works for them. And then they just pick up at the regular CSA pickup sites. A cool thing that I used a lot was Local Food Marketplace will create labels for you. And that was a really great way to organize and, mark our orders. We use the MailChimp integration option with Local Food Marketplace. So that's how we manage we have a weekly newsletter, and that's how we manage our audience through MailChimp. Yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. I hope I'm not missing anything. Yeah, so one of the most important things that we wanted was the ability to have different producers have their own profile. So before we started using Local Food Marketplace, what would happen was, over the weekend or on Monday or whatever, the farmers would just text a staff member what they had to sell, what they wanted to sell. And then the staff members would compile that into an Excel sheet. And then we would have to decide through that what we wanted to put in the box. But with Local Food Marketplace, each individual farmer makes their own account. And we decided to pre-add the crops that we knew they had. And then they just go in and they can easily click how many pounds they have. So they do that over the weekend. On Monday, we decide what's in the share. On Tuesday, we pack. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we deliver the shares. So once we decide what's in the share, they receive a pick list to their email. It was a little bit of just some interesting situations trying to get farmers who are maybe not literate in their own language to use this program. But I think by the end of it, a lot of them gained a lot of confidence. And we also know that This is the software that's used by one of the bigger food hubs in our area. So when they graduate, they'll be able to more easily join that food hub. Another thing that we really liked was how much is on the customers to control themselves. So we don't really have to worry with keeping their credit card data. That's something that they store themselves. I did have like little old ladies like emailing me their credit card number, and I was like, no, don't go into do it yourself. But another thing that we really like for nonprofits is important to be able to pull as many different reports as we can, because every grant is looking for different data. New Roots is actually a collaboration between two different nonprofits. So on one hand, we have Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, and then Cultivate KC, which was formerly the Kansas City Center for Urban Agriculture. And the two organizations work together to do the administration of the program. And so, of course, they're looking for different data too. And then also, we want to be able to see where our weaknesses are, and we want to be able to show farmers what is most profitable for them. Because another thing we find with a lot of the groups that we work with, record keeping is just something that culturally doesn't come naturally to them. And so being able to show them the importance of keeping records and determining their profits is something that's really easy to do with local food marketplace. And then of course, there's also, I think we were definitely barking up the staff support tree on quite a regular basis as we were kind of figuring out what were the limitations and what were the capabilities of the software as we were figuring it out this summer. But there's a lot of support that staff, the local food marketplace staff offered us. Yeah, I hope that answered some questions. Something that we also do through local food marketplace is our site manager, who's semi-retired now, keeps honey. So we're able to sell his honey through local food marketplace. We also partner with another local nonprofit farm that does pork products, and we sell their pork products. So that's a really cool thing that we can do through local food marketplace, is support other farmers in the area. Yeah, any questions? I'll throw it back to Amy then.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Colleen. That was awesome. It looks like there are a couple of questions. N. Garrett.
Okay, thank you. And my name is Nicole. I'm not sure why it doesn't spell
sorry,
out my first name, but
Thank you,
Colleen and Amy. Very, very insightful. You know, what is it like? What are the challenges in getting the payment capture to accept SNAP and EBT?
I think I'll take that one. So I think, Colleen, you guys accept EBT, don't you? No.
I have been working on it almost as long as I've worked here, but we're so close.
Okay.
It's something that's really important to us, because Wyandotte County, where we are, is the poorest county in Kansas, and all our CSAs pretty much entirely go to Johnson County, which is the richest county in Kansas. So being able to keep that food truly local in Wyandotte County is something we're really working on.
Okay, great. So Nicole, is your question about how to accept the payment online, or just generally how to accept it?
Correct. More so through this platform, this e-commerce platform.
Great. Okay. So I'm not sure how much you followed the online SNAP information from FNS. They expanded the pilot outside of Walmart, Amazon, and I think one or two other very large retailers, just as sort of COVID got underway. Right. And of course, that put a lot of stresses on their internal staff requirements, because they weren't staffed up to bring on a whole bunch more retailers. But fast forward a number of months later. And we will be supporting online SNAP processing in 2022. We're in fact in the process of, we're working with FNS as big, like have a meeting with them in 2 days, as a matter of fact.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it's a pretty big, there's a lot of requirements there. There's requirements of the technology, but there's also requirements of the merchants, which would be like
Right.
your organization.
Mhm.
That you'll need to go through an approval process. Step one is being a SNAP merchant, like as Colleen's organization sounds like they're like inches away from.
You've been going through the USDA process, Colleen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to answer for you. So that's step one. You won't even be able to be considered until you are a SNAP merchant. And then there's a series of steps you have to go through, which we're quite familiar with, and happy to talk with you and not go through every detail here,
Sure.
but you do have to go through a number of pretty rigorous steps. We're working right now on how we streamline that for farms and folks that don't have the resources of Amazon and Walmart.
Right.
Because the systems right now are set up really for organizations that have those kinds of resources. So we're working with MarketLink and a couple of other folks to kind of get some templates in place, and and there's certainly a lot still to be figured out, but that's
Well,
kind of
I would
what's happening.
love, yeah, Amy, I didn't write your information down from the
Oh.
slide, but I'd love to be able to connect with you
Okay.
offline and
Sure.
maybe after your meeting.
Yeah, I'll send you a little, I'll send you my contact info, or I'll post it, I guess, to the chat here, so others.
Perfect,
And
thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we did assume that that was going to be probably the most challenging piece of this, because the primary, target population will be mostly SNAP beneficiaries. And so, obviously that's a big important piece in terms of sustainability for the program and the project.
Lots of our customers do accept SNAP, but of course, processing the actual payment, they need to have the physical card currently. And they capture all the details, not the account details yet, but that is what we'll be doing in 2022. So
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Amy and Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Okay.
I think maybe we will, I know we'll have more questions at the end, so we'll move on. I do appreciate hearing from you, Colleen and Amy. That was excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Change. I don't know if you guys, whenever I start to mess with the screen views, I always get lost somewhere, so I apologize for one moment. Okay, so now we are ready to wrap it up with our final presenters. We are joined by Alison from Rainshadow Organics and Cami from Food for All. So I will hand it off to you two.
Thank you, Cassidy, and yeah, thanks for the folks who have stuck with the call. I think there's been a little bit of attrition, but but we'll kind of move through our talk today. And what we wanted to do is just in general introduce Food for All. And I think one of the reasons why folks are on the call today is to really get an understanding of what the differences are between these platforms. And so I hope to just talk a little bit about, what Food for All is doing that's different from Local Food Marketplace and Open Food Network. And then tell you a little bit about our CSA feature set, as well as subscriptions. And then kind of hand it over to Alison from Rainshadow Organics They're using both the, the CSA feature set as well as the subscription feature set. And then, if there's any questions around that. So I'm going to go ahead and start this presentation, and it's just a couple of slides before we get into our conversation. So, all right. So Food for All started in 2015. We saw a couple of things happening. I think we saw this opportunity to really introduce a new technology platform that's modern and mobile and scalable to meet the needs of small to mid-sized farms who are looking to meet customers online. But then we also saw the opportunity to also increase the visibility of these small to mid-sized farmers within their local buying community. And so really our objective is twofold. One is, we're helping to drive sales and increase sales of small to mid-sized farmers, not by just giving you an online store presence, but by making that online store easy to find by creating different types of marketing relationships. So buyers can come to foodforall.com and do a zip code search and then find your custom store, which from there, the buyer can learn what your story is and read about you, see what your products are, and then make a purchase. But we're also, as I had mentioned, creating other marketing relationships where, again, your online store and your story is available through different portals that are being promoted by local food organizations in your local area. So we're really looking at trying to increase, getting you and your story out in front of your buying audience so that you can increase your online sales and meet those customers online. And then, in addition to that, what technology can do is make your operations more efficient. So, similar to the other two platforms that are here today, using Food for All, you're not just managing your subscriptions or your CSAs, but you have the ability to sell, other types of products, whether that's lettuce by the head or your kimchi by, the different flavors and sizes that you have, but also to sell through wholesale channels, through in-person channels, through an in-person point of sale, and then through marketplaces as well. And so Food for All enables producers to have one account and then to connect into these different marketing channels and different types of, connect with different types of buyers. And then it's really important to us that you maintain your own branding. So we're enabling you to reach those customers, but you're telling your story with your brand. One of the things that makes Food for All a little bit different than some of the other solutions out there is that our technology is free for you to use. We're not charging a subscription fee. We don't charge a setup fee. Who is funding your the use of your technology are your buyers. So your buyers are paying a small transaction fee that's added onto your order in order to fund the use of your technology. We have started, for those who are selling to wholesale buyers, we have started offering subscription services for those types of transactions. So our business model is flexible. And, we're here to help. So we offer phone support, email support, and then we also have weekly demos that we're running. And so we have our customers dropping into those conversations, and then we have folks who are interested in Food for All also dropping into those hourly conversations.
I apologize, Kimmy. Can I interrupt you just for a second? I didn't I don't know if you can see this, but you're in I can see you're in a different kind of setting where I can see what's coming next on your slide.
Okay. Let's
me.
see. Thank you for letting me know. Let's see if did that change anything, or is that?
It did, but it did not make it better.
Not in a good way. Okay, that's good to know. All right. Is this okay now, or we're still in that mode where you can see ahead?
It's still in that presenter mode.
You
Yeah.
have multiple monitors.
I think you're in presenter view as opposed to just present.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I'm okay with it if, as long as it's not bothering anybody else, to go ahead and see what's coming next. Is that all right?
If it works for you, it works for me.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, thank you for letting me know. So with Food for All, there are, you do have the ability to have a CSA product where that type of product can be set up once, and then buyers can pay up front for your CSA, which is tied to a recurrence pattern. And then once that buyer buys that CSA, then they, according to whatever recurrence pattern you've set up, they show up on, the fulfillment reports, the customer order sheets, the labels that are associated with that recurrence. And then with subscriptions, you as a seller are able to set up a subscription service. And so that enables your buyers to make a purchase once, and then however you've defined that subscription. So it can be a weekly subscription, a monthly subscription, an annual subscription. It can start in the future. It can end at a specific time, or it can be an indefinite subscription. So all of that is set up by you. And it enables you to have your buyers sign up once, and then have that recurring pattern or that recurring revenue stream coming in for whatever you're offering as a subscription. So you can offer any type of good as a subscription. You could have as we're talking about, a bread subscription or a kimchi subscription. So whatever kind of product you're selling through Food for All, you can offer that as a subscription to your customer base. And your customers, through their account, and through your account, you can manage that subscription. So you can cancel the subscription, you can refund the subscription. So you have the tools at your fingertips to be able to manage those types of services. So when we look at, what does a customer see when they go to your shopping page and are interested in seeing your subscription products? So as you can see, it's your brand, and you're able to provide your own banner image and customize your customer shopping experience. And for products that are subscriptions, they're called out specifically in the product definition. So whether it's a monthly, as I said, a monthly subscription or a weekly subscription, so your customer is able to see what your products are that they can subscribe to, and then in the purchasing process, they can easily input their credit card and agree to be a part of this subscription service. And so with Rainshadow Organics, they're and Alison will talk a little bit about this, but they're using both the CSA feature set, where they're offering their CSAs for sale for an upfront payment. But then they also, what's important to them is to be able to offer installment payments or monthly payments for those CSA customers who wish to not pay upfront. And with that, they're using the subscription feature to initiate installment payments and have those payments last for a defined period of time. So from here, I'd like to introduce Alison Holland, who is working with Rainshadow Organics, and she is managing the online store and then is the CSA manager. And Alison will kind of talk a little bit more about the CSA setup at Rainshadow, and then how Food for All is helping to support those CSA offerings.
Yeah, well, hey everyone. Funny thing, just as I'm starting to talk, the entire farmers are coming into the kitchen right now behind me. So if it gets a little loud, that's what's going on. But that's kind of the nature of a farm. You never really know what's going to happen until you walk out the door. Anyhow, we could not run our CSAs the way that we have grown without this Food for All platform. And I will be the first to admit that before this, I didn't really even, I'd never used any platforms, period. And so I am definitely a product of what I've learned. And part of what I really appreciate about Food for All is actually sort of my one-on-one relationship with Cami. Because every time I do something, every time I have a question, it's like mere moments before I hear from Cami in a response. And so that's been super helpful. But with that said, we do, as Cami said, use both the installment payment as well as a pay up front. And we're able to create multiple different types of installment payments because of all the unique situations within our, 200 member CSA. And a lot of that, somebody asked about SNAP payments and things like that. A lot of that is so that we can create unique payment systems for our SNAP beneficiaries for things like that, because even if you get a SNAP payment, it might not be enough in 1 month to pay for a monthly CSA subscription. So then we'll do sort of a rolling payment throughout the 12-month period so that during the summer CSA, they have access to a CSA box with us. But that's beside the point. Our ability to run these subscriptions is twofold. We do a summer and we do a winter CSA. And as part of those CSAs, we start marketing, as you guys know, in say December for 2022 CSAs. And we have people who pay in full upfront right there. And then we also have people who put down $100 deposit. And then those deposits we then factor into a split. And then Cami kind of does all of her wonderful stuff on the back end that is super helpful. So I'm not sure if you guys have specific questions about how all of this really happens, but for me as a CSA manager, it is easy to find specific people who have purchased something on the back end of Food for All in order to help answer questions about why their credit card statement said this instead of that. It is very helpful for me as a seller of CSAs to be able to see on a monthly or bi-weekly basis, mostly actually, it's always monthly, but who's paid for what is outstanding. Our orders don't really fluctuate much once the CSA starts, but say somebody's, like last year, one of our CSA customers' mom got really sick and they had to move across the country and cancel their CSA. Even though we all have hearts, right? Yes, it's a non-refundable deposit, but at the same time, your mom is dying. Go take care of your mother. We will see you when you get back, right? And so it's easy for me to find that person, take care of, say, canceling and or refunding parts of their CSA without dragging Cami into it, because Cami's a very busy person. But it is, once you learn it, it is a very user-friendly platform, but the learning curve, especially for someone who hasn't been involved in that, is I found to be steep for myself. That is just me personally talking. But with Cami there, it was every time I got stumped, was like, oh, well, try this next time, and then I'll go ahead and help you fix it from my end, and then away we go, which also has the added benefit of not sort of plaguing your customers with snafus right and left, which I run into all the time on our other platforms like WooCommerce and Foo Events and the things like that that we use to sell farm to table dinners and things. And so I will just say that having a human that is accessible is worth every moment of time. So anyways.
Yeah. Thanks, Alison. Yeah, Rainshadow is probably, they probably offer one of the more, you have more complex offerings. Not only are you doing a winter CSA, but a summer CSA, and sometimes halfway through the summer, you might be offering an additional 10-week CSA or an add-on. So, I think CSAs from a product setup standpoint are probably one of the most challenging, because you've got, the defined recurrence pattern, which, for example, with a meat CSA, you're picking it up on a bi-weekly basis, but with the vegetable CSA, you're delivering those on picking those up on a weekly basis. So it's just getting that recurrence pattern set up, and then, multiple pickup locations that are associated with each of the different kinds of CSAs. And then, are we taking a deposit? Are we not taking a deposit? So yeah, for sure. I mean, setting up, I think CSAs are probably one of the most complex things to be setting up within any system. So yeah.
I'm not, if anybody has specific questions, I've over the past 2 years since I've started this job, I've definitely got to know Food for All pretty well, but yeah, questions?
Yeah, let's, if anybody has, we've got like another 5 minutes we can give to Food for All specific questions, and then we'll open it up for broadly the whole group. So any burning questions? And we have had a little bit of, we've lost some folks.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask Alison if we don't have any questions. So we were talking a little bit about this last week, and that, with COVID, I think Rainshadow specifically saw their CSA subscription rate, dramatically increase, and it has been increasing year over year, but they saw a bit of a blip happening. And so Alison, what is your perspective on, you've seemed to have managed to retain a large number of those customers. So what are, technology aside, like what are some of the keys to retaining those customers?
Well, ultimately, we like to think of our customers as a larger community, which I think is probably what most people do, especially listening to the other two folks who've chatted. And so we pull them into our community and sort of treat them, like family, really. You send, I talk to my CSA customers more than I talk to my family. Let's put it that way. So, we send out a email corresponding with every CSA pickup that involves sort of news of the farm, recipe options. There's a couple plugs here and there for things like what chef is making in the kitchen, if we have open spots at farm to table brunches or dinners. Do you know someone who wants to get married here? You can do that too, those sorts of things. But really, it's every CSA email, weekly in the summer, monthly in the winter, starts with a sort of, these are your farmers. This is what our farmers are doing. And all of our farmers are all on farm. We're a big enough operation that there's about 10 of them in the summer and 4 of them in the winter. But, these are what your farmers are doing to bring you these vegetables. You'll notice that there's some holes in your kale this week, and that's because of this thing. And we've tried like hell to solve it, and X, Y, or Z happened. But that's the beauty of the CSA. You build that relationship. So when they get kale that's mildly holy and full of aphids, they know that it's the end of the season and this is like the last of the fresh kale they're going to get. And so that is a lot of it. We're trying to get more into that sort of Instagram story world with less selling on Instagram and more of continuing that storytelling platform that I see our CSA and farm emails is taking. But it's nice to have people buying vegetables from you, not just because of the quality of the vegetables, but because or meats for that matter, but because they believe in your operation as sort of the cornerstone of their dining table. So I think that's how we look at it. And Food for All is nice because we don't have to think about that end. We can focus on the story. And then the customer, our community members, can opt in very easily by just going click, yes, please. And I'm excited. The subscription payment with Cami is new-ish for us. I think it is over there too. And so it's kind of been fun being part of the little trial period of that. But it allows people to hopefully not have to go through a specific resubscription every time. Like, let me buy this again and again. And instead, it's more like re-upping your tax forms at work. You're like, yes, I haven't gotten married, I haven't gotten divorced, I just want to take an extra $25 a month out or whatever it is. It's just easy, click, 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 go, and here's your vegetables. There's a lot more in June or in July than there are in June, and we still love you.
Yeah, the other thing I think that Rainshadow is doing that is unique is the full diet CSA. Like, I've seen some farms moving towards this, but you guys are truly executing on it and growing your customer base with that offering.
We are, but that one's actually, I hesitated to bring it up because it is entirely outside of Food for All, because it's they come weekly and they pay weekly, but they treat the CSA like it is a grocery store. And so they come to our farm store and they pick up, milk, raw milk, eggs, meats, all the vegetables they want, and grains, all the grains that they need. And we grow all of that. So it's actually all of our farm produce and product and meats and such. And but that goes through our squared. So I wasn't really gonna talk about it. But yes, it's huge. And a lot of our full diet members are actually former monthly or weekly summer or winter CSA members who really like what they're getting, and this saves them a stop, at the grocery store, which is great.
Yeah, I bring it up just because I think that it's really unique, and something as a customer that I would like to participate in at some point. So yeah, great.
That's
Super.
true.
Well, we don't want to overstep our time. If there's any questions or
Yeah, let's open it up for the whole group. Thank you so much, Alison and Cami. That was great. And I know we have a small group here, but we do still have a few guests. And I don't know if y'all have any questions, you are more than welcome to unmute and just ask. Feel free to interject. You can use all the little hand raising features if you like as well. But I'll go ahead and ask one question to kick it off to Colleen and Alison and Mark. I guess just what for you in your work of using your chosen software platform, what is the feature that stands out the most to you as being really helpful in managing your CSA?
I'm actually opening it up right now. So I'm like, what is
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to recognize that feature until you don't have it.
Yeah. For me, a lot of it is just being able to go into, well, two things now, because I just recently discovered the point of sale on the back end. So for instance, if someone missed the CSA opening period, and they've been, like a 10-year CSA member and somehow they lost their email, I have just learned, and I can't believe I didn't know this before, but you ask the right questions and sometimes you finally get the answer you need. But the ability to add folks in to the CSA from my back end instead of having to say reopen the entirety of the CSA to the whole public. Because, for example, you know, I want to let Phyllis in, who's been a CSA member for 10 years and happened to be out of town or was sick or whatever, but I don't want 10 new subscribers. You know, I don't have enough vegetables for that. That's super helpful. But then also just downloading all of every information is downloadable into the CSV, you know, which is easy to transfer into just Excel workspace and then organize it and figure out what people are actually purchasing.
Awesome. Thank you, Alison. Mark, Colleen, you guys have any? Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, okay. I think given the complexity that I create around my operation, I think what I appreciate is the ability to incorporate all the crazy ideas that I come up with on how I want to do things. And I mean, they're not crazy ideas. I think what makes a small farm significant is that we're able to respond to the needs of individual customers as much as possible. And I think that the platform allows me to field a phone call or talk to somebody at a farmer's market who is also a CSA customer, and to be able to maneuver through things to get them what they want as they want it. And if they don't have money at the farmer's market, I can take it out of their account on the online platform and do all the various things that I need to do. I can work with nonprofits, for-profits, individuals. It's just a matter of figuring out how to answer the question once I have it posed to me, and I appreciate that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Also, I want to just make sure that it's clear that Mark is talking about Open Food Network and Alison was talking about Food for All.
Yes,
Colleen.
and I'm talking about local food marketplace.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I mentioned having all the producers having their own separate profiles, which is really key. We pay them all separately, you know, and also local food marketplace makes it easy. We take 20% of what the farmers sell just as a fee. But I think the thing that I used the most during the season was using my phone. I think local food marketplace is pretty easy to use on mobile devices. And so when I wanted to check a customer's account when I was at a CSA pickup site, or if I was on the farm and a farmer had a question about what was on their pick list, I could easily pull it up on my phone. There's even, I didn't utilize this as much as I should have. And in the future, I think there's a really cool feature where you can there on the packing lists, you can check on your computer or on your phone in the system. And you can check that an order's been packed through that, which is kind of cool. And also a lot of farmers have a smartphone and know how to use a smartphone, but really aren't that computer savvy. They're a little scared of computers sometimes. And so I just went through, and when I set up their account, I just clicked the stay logged in, and then I made a shortcut to their home screen and told them it was an app. So I think it's pretty easy to use on your phone, and that's useful to us.
That's excellent. Thank you, Colleen. And that leads me to a perfect next question, which I think most farmers are fabricators and are good at hacking together things when there doesn't seem to be an obvious solution. So I'd be interested to know if you've discovered or created any hacks that make the software work the way you need it to. I mean, like Colleen just mentioned, working around her producers to make it easier for them.
Definitely not savvy enough to hack things. I can write a damn good email, but figuring out how to hack the back end of Food for All is what the computer technicians at Food for All are really good at. But I will say that every time I come up upon something that I'm like, damn, it would be so much easier if this happened instead of that, then there is a not always immediate gratification feedback loop, but definitely yeah, we've been talking about that. We'll just kind of bump that up a little. Or we thought about that, and this is why we decided not to do it. You should try this instead because it's actually more efficient. So but I'm not going to hack the back end of Food for All.
Understandable.
Yeah, thank you, Alison, for not trying to hack into Food for All. Appreciate that.
And maybe, I don't mean like you have to get in there and get messy, but like just finding the workarounds, solutions to problems.
Yeah, I in what I do, we have so many different customers, we have so many different customer locations, and we have 7 total locations that we take CSAs between 2 days. And then we have sometimes more than 20 producers. So I need a lot of different kinds of lists. And so I have a lot of kind of backwards ways that I get the lists that I want. So one thing I do is I like pretend that I'm making labels, but then I just print it out on a piece of paper so that I can like have a checklist of the specific items that I'm trying to pack in add-on orders.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
think that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's like a pretty simple, like, just figuring out what's the dual purpose of, I think a lot of these things have multiple features that you can probably find a variety of ways to use them. Are you gonna add something, Mark?
I guess I routinely get questions from chefs or foodies at farmers markets asking specifics about what I grow, if I grow chiltepin peppers or something like that. And as long as I have them, as long as I remember to get them on the list on Open Food Network, I can give those folks access to the inventory I have. So it makes it easier for me to answer the specific questions of a chef about specifics of what I have to offer, rather than having to go through the difficulty of writing an email and listing 150, 180 varieties, whatever it is. I can just have them access what I give to my CSA customers, and then they can order that way, or they can call me with an order, however it works. But giving them the information in a way with pretty pictures and having it well organized saves me a phenomenal amount of time, either answering questions over the phone or going through very tedious emails.
Definitely. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, creating that like a beautiful directory once is better than having to do it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I'll just do one last question, and I guess it'll be just as difficult as these other two. What do you see? Is there anything that you wish that the software could do that you find is missing? And if you ask for it now, while they're here, they can make it happen. Anything missing that you wish you could have?
I hesitate to say, because every time I say that, Cami actually tells me where it is, and it's just a matter of the learning curve. So it's more of honestly, it's just I don't have the time to go through all the tutorials, which is probably why Cami and I are so close on the email at times, or like to take the tutorials, to read through the instructions and stuff. And so it continues on to the just learning the platform.
Sure, yeah. So the answer is there, you just need to find it.
That's what it's felt like 90% of the time.
Mark or Alison?
That sounds like my experience too. Once I get in there and I look things through, I usually find an answer eventually. It just takes me a little while.
Awesome.
Something that I have to do outside of the software, I have like a psychotic Excel sheet that I use to separate, like, sometimes we have different produce that goes to different places on different days. And so it's always hard to tell how much of each thing goes to each location. So I have that in an Excel sheet because there's not really a capability the way we currently have it set up in the local food marketplace to do that. And it would be great just for traceability and things like that to be able to do that all in one place. But we're working on it. Like you said, being in the farming world, you have to be creative and just figure out how to make it work. So we're trying to figure out ways that we can work with and around the software to make it work.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the CSA you are managing is particularly very complex, and it sounds like really amazing work you're doing. So good on you.
Cassidy, I have to say that if you, I'm not proposing that you do it, but if you did ask Amy or Cami or myself, like, what do we wish? We all have really long wish lists of things. Like, we are all constantly improving and expanding, and like we're all working on our platforms all the time. And I mean, you can tell as you see the evolution, sort of throughout time. So, I mean, it's just, we like as good as we are, we all want to be better.
Yeah. And, I appreciate that from all of you. And I think it's obvious in these few sessions we've had, everyone has been so pleased with, particularly, it sounds like how having these actual relationships with you folks that are actually there to answer the phone and help through these problems. And I do not doubt that you all have long wish lists that continue to grow every time you answer the phone. So hopefully, this holiday season, you get some of those wishes granted. If there's any final questions, I'd be open to that, or if you guys have any final thoughts you want to share, and we can just start to wrap up. Amy?
I was just going to say thank you, everybody, for being here and for giving us the last 2 hours of your time, and for listening to all of these great stories and hearing innovative ways people are making local food happen. But to echo what Lori was saying, we do have a very long list, and they're in different buckets. Some of them are pretty okay, let's do these things that are pretty easy to define, and then some really big picture stuff, which has taken a lot of our energy of late. Is where are we taking this whole thing in 10 years, and putting all the infrastructure in place to really help local food take some pretty big leaps, but in a way that is shared ownership of local food, of our local food system, and is not owned out. The farms control it, really, is kind of what it comes down to for us. So
thank you, Amy.
And I was just going to say thank you to Cassidy and the Land Connection for giving all of us visibility, and really helping us kind of help share our stories around our platforms and share our customers and their journeys as well. And so hopefully the folks who are watching this find it to be helpful.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, and it's just so inspiring to be around local food people, around the farmers and producers and the people who are supporting them. It's I mean, we're going to get into the future together, so it's really, really great to see you, and thank you, Cassidy, for pulling this thing together. It's so cool, and I'm really happy to see all of you.
Yeah, thank you all. And I do want to say, I think Alison actually said something that I think speaks to this kind of local foods community. She said, I have a heart, which I feel like is something that you don't get a lot in all parts of society these days, but I feel like always in this scene, there's a lot of heart. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you for joining us. really, thank you so much, Mark and Lori, Colleen and Amy, Allison and Cami. Really appreciate everything you had to contribute. I am going to launch a brief poll here for our visitors. Not that poll. Just to get an idea of how we did today. So it's just 2 questions. If you just give us your assessment of how this went. Once again, I want to say a really big thank you to Illinois Farm Bureau for making this possible. And please do visit that Live Local, Shop Local website to find out about the rest of their monthly business development offerings. And then we do hope you can, pardon me, we do hope you can join us for our final session in 2 weeks on Tuesday, December 14th, when we're going to be once again discussing Food for All, Local Food Marketplace, and Open Food Network as how they work for retail sales and direct-to-consumer opportunities. So, and Jacqueline has put that registration for that session in the chat, so please do register for that if you haven't already. And we'll be joined by another group of producers, and we hope that you can join us again then too. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody. See you in a couple of weeks.
And Jacqueline, you can stop that recording.